My apologies. I'm having a few technical difficulties. Apparently, this message is pretty strong because it's shutting down my video. But I believe what I was talking about previously was that, DNA and the transfer of DNA, or the transformation of DNA, and how when we change and alter our genetic makeup, this is going into my next subject or subtopic, is that we don't think about how it affects the generations to come, or how it has affected the generations before us or our generation. So think about this. Have you ever had something happen to you, or you weren't really sure? Like you were honest with yourself, and you knew that this situation or whatever happened was something that you didn't bring upon yourself, and you have no idea where it came from. You don't know why this happened to you. It's kind of like one of those why me situations. Like this, I definitely didn't deserve it. Can't really even recall why it happened. Okay, think about the fact that you have ancestors, you have people that were born before you, your mother, your father, your great grandfather, your great 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 grandmother. They all lived their lives. They all had actions that they chose, whether they were good or not so good. And there are things that affect us because of the decisions that others have made, right? Okay, so tying that into your DNA and why things happen the way they happen, there could have been an instance where your great grandfather stole from somebody's farm or something like that. He got away with it. Nothing happened to him. Nothing happened to his son. Nothing happened to that person's son. Nothing happened to that person's son. But you, on the other hand, karma comes around. So regardless of whether we think we got away with something, it has to happen. That's just the law of metaphysics. That's just the law of spirituality. That's the law of the land. Anything that happens, that energy is put out there, and it has to come back on someone. And it's not going to come back on someone that's not in that generational line per se, directly, but it will come back on you or your daughter or your daughter's daughter. Your great grandmother, your grandmother, your mother slept with a married man. She knew she had no business sleeping with him. She knew that that wasn't her husband. She may have slept with him out of spite. She may have slept with him just because of lust, whatever it is, or she fell in love with him. Regardless, that was not her situation to get into. That was not on her path of divine alignment. So when you kind of take these detours that you're not supposed to be on, you alter your path. You change your path. You change your genetic makeup, and it has to affect someone, whether it affects you directly or it ends up affecting someone else. We have to seriously think about these things because when we decide to make decisions willingly or unwillingly or obliviously or what have you, we end up bringing consequences that are unnecessary. Now, going back to the topic of spiritually transmitted diseases, I also said that another way that we can, receive a spiritually transmitted disease is through sexual contact. So now this is the strongest way to receive this. Think about how I said when you associate yourself with someone and you spend time with them, or you hang out with them and you start to become like them, or you act like them, or you say things or whatnot. You adapt their way of life. Now, when you make a conscious decision to lay down with someone or have a sexual encounter with someone, women, we are the receivers. Men, you are the givers. Men, you download something to someone. Women, we upload, we get it, we receive it, right? So when you take something and you connect it together, you create a portal, or you create an avenue of entry, a point of entry, right? So when someone has certain characteristics or ways that they've embedded into their DNA, into their spirit, into who they are, and you connect with that person, you take on that entity. Example, have you ever seen the movie Fallen? Not this newer version or this newer movie, but there's a movie called Fallen. Denzel Washington and John Goodman were in it. And in this movie, they were detectives, and Denzel Washington arrested a serial killer, and he was there when the person was executed. And I can't remember exactly because it was so long ago that I watched it, but he was there, and I think, something happened, it just made him feel weird, or what, it made Denzel feel weird. Okay, so throughout the movie, there begins to have series of other killings, and I believe that they were similar, but what they couldn't understand was this person was dead. So is there a copycat? Is there whatever? What is this? Make a long story short, the person's spirit transferred and went into other people, took over their bodies, took over their mindset, or influenced their mindset to do what it wanted them to do. Now, whether or not you believe that's accurate, that's on you. But think about the possibility of a spirit being able to influence you. A spirit is not just some mythical entity that moves around like in the movies, how they make fun of ghosts. A spirit is an actual thing in the intangible realm that can influence you. Think about music. Music is a vibration. Music is a frequency that when you listen to something, you start to move. It influences your body. It influences your thoughts to want to move in a certain way, to listen to it, because it makes you feel a certain type of way. That's the same thing with any spirit. Any type of spirit can influence you, and it can, cause you to think a certain way, or it can frustrate you, or it can alter your day, or it can, bring about actions that weren't really on our original course. So it's really important for us to be on guard spiritually, and for us to make sure that we are protecting our gateways, because things can enter through our bodies by sight, what we see, what we watch, what we perceive, what we hear, the music that we listen to, the conversations that we pay attention to, and then going back to sight, the things that we watch on TV influence us really, really hard, and we don't really see the impact. Things that go through our mouths, that's another gateway. What we eat, what we drink, you have to pay attention, because what you put in here goes through here, and it modifies your body. You ever paid attention to when you eat something and you don't feel right and you get sick and you throw up, your body has to evoke it and get it out because it didn't belong there. It doesn't agree with your genetic makeup. Other gateways, your private areas, your sexual areas. These are ways that things get into our spirit, our body. You can't just go inside someone's body. We have layers and layers and layers and layers and layers, and you understand this through science class, through courses that teach you about the different body systems. We're purposely made a certain way so that we can't just be easily penetrated and attacked. How do we get rid of dis-ease, whether it's physical or spiritual? One major way that some people may not be aware of is meditation, fasting. Fasting means to break away from something for a period of time. Making sure that you take a moment to remove yourself from, things that are influencing you that you may not necessarily have the strength to command at that moment. There's nothing wrong with drinking. There's nothing wrong with going out and having a good time. But when it gets to the point to where it's influencing you and it's changing your habits and your daily thought, the way that you do things, then that's when it becomes a problem. What I'm saying is that we have to actively raise our vibrations. We have to put ourselves on a level to where we're intangible by lower things. You can't get to something that is above you. So you have to put yourself high enough to where you raise your frequency and you can't get sick spiritually or physically. Also, physical sickness, which I'm not going to go deep into topic, but that is also a form of, it's also a vibration. When you dwell here and you eat things that are not good for you, constantly eating junk, things that are not living or raw foods, you just pile on top of you things that are not good for you, which make you sick, and you know, they keep you in the low space. That was pretty much all that I wanted to say. Is just that you know, we really have to start to take this thing serious that we call life. It is not just a day-by-day breeze that we were put here to have. We came here with a purpose, for a reason, to live out a certain way, to influence others, to influence ourselves, to be on a specific path designated for us that will take us to a higher place. And we really need to think about daily renewal. We really need to think about guarding ourselves and not just, you know, moving about like robots and constantly just living every day, just watching TV, going out, hanging out, not really doing anything, not really actively pursuing something that's going to enhance our lives. So that was just something that I wanted to share. If you have any questions or anything that you didn't understand about what I went over, or if in between time, because I had to kind of, if you notice, stop and pause the movie because I do have a life outside of here, so things have happened. So if there's any part that you didn't get or didn't understand, definitely let me know. All I am here to be is a teacher of things that I have learned or things that I learned consistently, and to relay them to the next individual to make their lives better. All right, peace.